It's taken 12 years, but Microsoft has finally made a Surface tablet powered by an ARM chip that I don't want to throw out the window. This new Surface Pro is powered by Qualcomm's new Snapdragon X Elite chips, and it's astoundingly fast. It's very efficient, and it just works. It works in the way that you expect a typical modern ultra-portable PC to work. And what's also really fascinating is that it can also run all your older apps. And that's something Microsoft has had trouble with its older ARM systems. Those were things like the Surface Pro 9 5G and the Surface Pro X. We did not like those computers very much because they just didn't work the way we wanted them to. Basically, with the Surface Pro and the new Surface laptop, these are Microsoft's first Copilot Plus PCs, and they've managed to do something that Apple did several years ago, honestly 4 years ago, with its first Apple Silicon Macs. It's developed laptops that are fast and capable and battery efficient and work the way you expect them to, all running on mobile hardware. And that is a pretty big feat for Microsoft. What's funny though is Microsoft is really hyping up AI around Copilot Plus. They're calling these AI PCs, and there is something to that. These new Qualcomm chips and the upcoming stuff from Intel and AMD are going to have MPUs that are powerful and ready for AI tasks, and more powerful than any of the MPUs we've seen before. Those are neural processing units. What's funny is that these features don't actually matter much. The AI features, as we see them so far, they're nice to have, but they're not essential. They're not nearly as compelling as a laptop with the 1-2 punch of a lot of power and really efficient battery life. And the one thing you won't see me talk about in this review is recall. That's the kind of like flagship feature that Microsoft showed off several weeks ago when it announced Copilot Plus PCs. Recall's not coming, not anytime soon. There's a lot of pushback against it because of some very obvious security flaws, which honestly, it's very confusing how Microsoft didn't see a lot of those things. But instead of being available at launch right now, recall is going to be coming eventually, sometime later this year. What we have so far are a handful of AI features that are, like I said, just nice to have. There's some image creation stuff. The new Paint app has both an image creation tool, which didn't work in my testing at all, and also image co-creation, which lets you draw a little doodle, type a little text prompt, and have it generate something, an AI image based on all of those things coming together. You can tweak the art style for this thing. You can tell it how creative you want it to be. The results are interesting, but I don't think they're very good. Maybe kids will enjoy messing around with it, but I don't find it really useful for adults. And personally, I'm still not sold on what the hell we do with these AI images at all. Do you put them in presentations? Do you just put them on your website or something and pretend they're your actual art? I don't really know yet. I think a more useful feature is live captions, and that's the ability to just create automatic captions of any video that you're playing on your computer. And from my testing, it worked pretty well for English language stuff. It can also translate some languages into English, so I tested it with some anime clips, translating Japanese into English. It was fine. It feels like, when you were watching an old movie with bad subtitles. It's not as direct or as well translated as official subtitles, but it would be enough to help you understand something. And it's also the sort of thing that can be applied to video chats down the line too. So could help you understand somebody speaking a foreign language in a video chat. So let's backtrack a little. What is the Surface Pro? If you haven't been paying attention, the Surface lineup of laptops from Microsoft, or tablets, are kind of laptop-tablet hybrids. These are tablets that have kickstands that run full Windows. You can buy separate keyboard accessories and basically turn them into laptops. But they've always been kind of unique devices. And I think other companies, once Microsoft announced these things in 2012, started to follow what Microsoft was doing. But I still think they're the best at making a tablet laptop hybrid. We've seen other 2-in-1s, but the Surface is still very unique for what it is. And the hardware still looks really good. This Surface Pro is incredibly thin. It feels really premium. They've always been using very good magnesium alloy metal, so it just feels good to the touch. There's an optional OLED screen on this model, which also looks fantastic. That's the one we're testing. It has 2 USB-C ports, the Surface power connection port on the side. Underneath the kickstand, you can also pop out the SSD card and add more storage down the line pretty easily, so that's nice. You can't upgrade RAM though, because this is running a Qualcomm chip with integrated memory, and that's just something we're used to for ultra-portable machines. Overall, as a tablet, it's kind of what I expect from a 13-inch device. It has a pretty large screen. It's easy to hold with one hand, but you wouldn't want to do it for too long. It doesn't feel like an iPad. It feels more like an iPad Pro. I just don't think you'd use this as an iPad. You'd use this more like a laptop that can occasionally have its keyboard detached. So in that case, I think this is still pretty useful for some people. While it looks good overall though, I'm still hoping Microsoft eventually tweaks the idea of how it's thinking of Surfaces. Honestly, I'm just tired of the kickstand. It was an interesting idea 12 years ago, but now it just makes it really hard to use this machine on your lap. I would just like to see Microsoft kind of tweak this idea a little bit. And I think there's room, maybe another little extra bit of kickstand that comes down and maybe lays it flat against your lap or something. I think that would make it more useful for a lot of people. The best part about this Surface Pro is that honestly, it's simply a great laptop once you add a keyboard to it. It's fast, it's really power efficient. From my testing with the PC Mark battery test, it lasted about 12 hours running a full benchmark. Depending on what you're doing, could be less or more, but I think that's the real world use case of battery life that's actually pretty helpful. After suffering through so many ARM-powered Surfaces over the years, I was surprised that this one just ran pretty much everything I threw at it. Most apps that I'm using, like Evernote and Spotify and Slack, are native, so they have ARM native apps, they run just fine. A few things are emulated, and the emulation is much better than it used to be. I did run into some cases. Fortnite doesn't launch at all because it detects an ARM chip, and also I've heard League of Legends has the same issue, and that's because these things rely on really hardcore anti-cheat mechanisms. So until those apps get updated, you won't be able to play those games at all. The other big new thing this year is the Flex keyboard, the Surface Pro Flex keyboard. It looks like a typical Surface Pro keyboard, but you can remove it from the screen and use it independently, fully wirelessly. So it's always connected to the Surface via Bluetooth instead of a direct connection like before. It's very expensive. It's $350 on its own, $450 bundled with the Surface Slim Pen, but it works, and it does unlock new ways of using the Surface Pro that I would have loved to see over the last few years. I really got used to just putting the Surface tablet on a table and just kind of lounging and typing with the tablet with the keyboard on my lap. I could see this being useful in airplanes or cafes or just other areas where it's kind of cramped and where the Surface's design, especially the kickstand, makes using it kind of hard. So that's cool. I think that's an interesting way of rethinking this machine. I just wish this keyboard wasn't so expensive. As an AI PC, as I mentioned, the features are nice. They're perfectly fine. I would not buy this computer just for these AI features, but maybe we'll see more down the line. Recall could end up being useful. The real reason to buy this, honestly, is it's just very fast. It's very efficient from what I'm seeing. Also, judging from the benchmarks we've run, especially PC Mark 10, this machine is just inherently very fast. It scored over 12,000 points in my testing. That's faster than any machine we've tested this year, and honestly, any machine we've ever tested, at least when it comes to laptops. It's 50 to 100% faster than all the machines we've reviewed so far in 2024. So that's pretty impressive for a mobile chip. PC Mark doesn't run on Macs though, so we don't have that direct comparison. So I would really like to see how those kind of hang together. In Geekbench 6, which does run on Macs, the Surface Pro's chip ends up being faster in multi-threaded mode, slower in single-core processing mode, but tells us that these systems are pretty neck and neck. I don't think anybody's going to be buying this computer or the Surface laptop expecting to do a lot of heavy-duty work, but just the fact that the benchmarks themselves are pretty fast, that's just a good sign. When it comes to 3D support, the new Qualcomm processors also have pretty decent GPUs. In 3D Mark Wildlife Extreme, it scored better than any of the Intel Arc systems we saw this year, which is not saying much. That's integrated graphics, so it's not as fast as AMD GPUs or NVIDIA GPUs, but it's perfectly fine for running really light 3D games like 1000X Resist or something really simple like Animal Well. That runs perfectly fine. If you want to play games on this machine, there's always cloud streaming, and from my testing, Xbox cloud streaming launches quickly, runs really smoothly. I was playing Forza Horizon 5, and it's practically indistinguishable from actually running on the local systems. Just don't plan to play any games locally on this thing. Pricing-wise, the Surface Pro starts out far better than any previous models. For $1,000, you get the Snapdragon X Plus processor, that's 10 cores, 16 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes of storage. So a decent amount of RAM. Normally you'd have to pay a little more to get that RAM, and certainly it's more than you get in the base level MacBook Air M3. But of course that price just gets you the tablet, then you have to add a keyboard. The standard Surface Pro keyboard is $140, it's $180 if you want a slot for the Slim Pen. If you want the Slim Pen bundled together, that's $280. Again, the Flex keyboard is $350 and $450 with the Slim Pen. So it just really adds up. I don't know how Microsoft can really think of this thing as a tablet. You have to get a keyboard. There's not even a tablet mode in Windows 11 anymore, so using it as a tablet is a little frustrating. If you want the higher tier features like the OLED screen and the Snapdragon X Elite processor, which is 12 cores, then you have to spend at least $1,500. Our review system costs $1,950. So with tax, that is an ultra portable system that is over $2,000. And I think that's just going to be tough for a lot of people to swallow. If cost is a concern, you just want to be in this ecosystem and play with some nice Microsoft hardware, you're better off looking at the Surface Laptop, which starts at $999, actually has a keyboard because it's a laptop, and it has the same basic specs too. So you just save so much more by going for that. And that's also a really nice machine. It just doesn't have an OLED option. I think I'd feel better about the Surface Pro if Microsoft was actually bundling the Surface Pro keyboard with it. I'm sure that would eat into, the actual money they'd be making from this thing, but it may actually encourage more people to buy it too, so maybe that would even out. And the Flex keyboard should be cheaper. It's just insanely expensive for what it is. It's $50 more than the new iPad Pro Magic keyboard. Sure, it's wireless, but it just feels like a tough sell for a lot of people. So that's the Surface Pro. I think it is the best Surface I've reviewed so far. There are still things about the design of the Surface that still annoy me, like the kickstand, but this is everything I want in a really light, ultra-portable machine. It is fast, it has pretty decent battery life, and it has a great screen if you go for the OLED option. It's just kind of ironic that once Microsoft has kind of mastered the whole Windows on ARM thing, it's already introducing new features that are kind of half-baked and we're still waiting to see them be actually useful. So rather than this being a successful tablet that really shows off everything Microsoft can do with the Surface, it's sort of like a disappointment as an AI computer. We're waiting for recall to happen. The current AI features are just fine, don't really change the world or anything. Don't buy this thing for AI. You'd buy it because it is a very fast hybrid tablet. It is super thin, the hardware is great, and it's really power efficient. So I think that's really all I could ask for from a Surface. Stay tuned to our channel for more laptop and tablet reviews, and be sure to look out for our coverage for the Surface Laptop as well. If you dug this video, be sure to like and subscribe.